What is up, guys? Welcome to the second episode of the Powerhouse Mentality podcast. Number one, first off, I really wanted to thank everybody who supported the first episode because, like I explained in that episode, it's completely unedited, it's raw, it's kind of just me talking about different experiences in my life and teaching you guys and providing you guys with value on how you can learn from my mistakes and learn from the things that I've experienced to help me grow and become more focused and disciplined to be able to achieve the things that I've wanted. I'm nowhere near where I want to be in life, and I'm never going to get to that roof of success because success is the never-ending fulfillment of your true potential. Once you hit a goal, there's already another goal that you're thinking about. That's how winners think. But guys, that's not what I wanted to talk about today. Today, I wanted to kind of get into a little bit more background on my story. Because before I get into a lot more practical stuff where I'm screaming at you and motivating you, I hate that word motivation, but some people might take it that way, where I'm teaching you lessons, I want to talk about my story and help you guys get lessons from that. So let's just get into it. The thing that I wanted to address today was nothing to do really with my eating disorder. We might touch on it a little bit because it is part of the journey, but I wanted to touch on how I got into fitness, because for those of you who know me from social media, in life, wherever you found me, you may know that I'm pretty big into fitness. I do a lot of training. I do a lot of CrossFit. I'm a fitness and nutrition coach. That's what I do for a living. And I've always worked in a gym, literally always. I've actually only had one job besides working in a gym, and that was when I was scooping Italian ices in college for the summer to earn some money. But let's start with when I was 18, because that's when I got my personal training certification. I got my NASM CPT as soon as I could because I had such a passion for fitness that I discovered a few years earlier when I wasn't the athletic kid in school. I just wanted to, I wanted to do something to make me feel good about myself. And I was always the kid who was picked last in gym class. I never was a gifted athlete. So I decided to start running and truly fell in love with it. I did cross country, then I started to do basketball, and then I started to do like those at-home beach body programs like P90X, Insanity, and I started to really fall in love with the lifestyle, with the nutrition aspect, and with the training aspect. So lo and behold, I ended up deciding to go to college for health promotions or health sciences, really focusing on nutrition and really doing all that personal training on the side. So like I said, I got my certification as soon as I could when I was 18 years old, and I started applying to jobs. I wanted to be a trainer in the gym. I wanted to be the personal trainer, the expert, right? And man, I thought like as soon as I got that certification that I was going to be rolling in clients and that people were just going to come up to me and ask me all these questions, but that's definitely not how it works. You kind of got to go out and earn that stuff. That's how life is anyway. You can't just expect things to land on your lap. And that's when I learned that, because I was pretty naive as a kid. I never really was somebody who went out and worked, like I said. So this was a completely new experience for me. So what I ended up doing is I went to a gym called Blink Fitness in Brooklyn on Flatbush Avenue. It was a $10 a month gym, just similar to Planet Fitness in a way, but with a lot more focus on personal training. My goal wasn't, though, to work at Blink. My goal was to work at New York Sports Club or Equinox or Crunch, like one of those big gyms, but I didn't even apply to any of those gyms. I only applied to Blink because I didn't think that I could get anything else because I was just starting off, right? So I didn't believe in my abilities. Now, what I want to recommend to you guys is don't do that. Too many people limit themselves, and when they're looking through the help wanted or going on Indeed.com or LinkedIn, you see all these jobs that maybe you don't think you're qualified for, but the sky's the limit. You have to be willing to learn, you have to be willing to earn that position, and you have to be willing to do the work in order to stand out. But at that time, I didn't know that. I didn't know much about really anything, and I thought I did. That's the funny part. But when we're kids, we all think that. So I ended up interviewing at Blink. I got the job. I was so excited. I remember getting that job, and I was just like, oh my God, this is it. This is the beginning of my empire of personal training. And, since I was the new trainer, I got the shitty shifts. I had to get up, open the gym at 5 a.m. and stand there, and I had no clients at the time. So I had to go out and get my own clients, because that's how it works in personal training world. You don't just get handed clients, apparently, which is what I thought. So I was like, oh man, I'm getting set up for success here. I have a job. This is awesome. All these people are just going to come and flock to me and ask me to help them. But no, not at all. I remember that first day so distinctly because I got there at 5 a.m. I was sitting in the break room. I was scared shitless because there weren't that many people in the gym. And all those people who were in the gym, as you know, the 5 a.m. crowd, they kind of know what they're doing, or, they think they do. So they don't want to be bothered when they're working out, especially if it's 5 a.m. They don't want a trainer coming up to them and kind of start to dig into what their goals are and such. So I was standing there and I was staring out onto the floor. I remember the first floor you could see was the entire cardio section and some of the weights. And I was staring out from the break room and I was like, oh crap, I don't know if I can do this. I remember crying, but eventually I kind of got it together. I went out and, I hid behind the front desk. And I hid behind the front desk for so long as a trainer. I wasn't doing the best because I was afraid to talk to people. I was so introverted and I had absolutely zero confidence. And that's kind of what I wanted to touch on here. I had no belief in myself and in my abilities. I always thought I wasn't good enough, that nobody would want to train with me. Why would anybody want to listen to me? Especially because that was when my eating disorder was starting to come out. I was very thin and I didn't know shit. I thought I did, but I didn't have the experience, and it got in my head to the point where I had absolutely zero confidence, to the point where I couldn't even talk to people. And obviously that's a problem in personal training world, but eventually I kind of started to, I got a client, I got another one, and I think at Blink I really only had 2 or 3 clients because I just couldn't get out of my head. I hid behind the front desk. I limited myself because I was afraid to get out of my comfort zone. If I just, looking back now, if I just went out and spoke to somebody, said, hey, good set, or hey, what are you working on? I could have sparked conversations, I could have started relationships, and I actually could have maybe helped a couple people at that gym. But it didn't work out. And that's okay, because I ended up going all in and going to New York Sports Club and interviewing there. I got the job, but unfortunately, that did not work out at all. I think I worked there for maybe a day, and then I realized I hate this. I hate this so much. I couldn't get out of my comfort zone and talk to people. I was so petrified, and I thought, well, maybe this isn't for me. So I didn't personal train for, I think it was a year, maybe a year and a half. I took some time off, and I really focused on school and really focused on college, and that's when my eating disorder really took over. And thank God I wasn't a trainer, because I couldn't help anyone, because I could barely help myself. But then for a school project, I guess you could say, we had to create a LinkedIn, and we had to go all in and create that so that recruiters could start looking at us. That was in my junior year of college, and that's when I got a job at Crunch. And I actually spent 3 years of my career at Crunch. I flourished there. It took a while to get started because, again, I was in my head and I was like, you know what? I need to just make this work. And I remember I sat down with my fitness manager and was like, I want this. I want this. And it just kind of clicked. I was like, you know what, Caitlin, if you're not going to get out of your comfort zone, you're never going to be able to help people the way that you want to. I was standing in my own way, and this is what so many people do. If you're not where you are in your life, I want you to stop and I want you to think about this. If you are not where you want to be in life, which most of us aren't, it's 100% your fault. And until you take responsibility and take action upon that, you will never get the results that you want, and you'll just stay in your average life. And I started to understand that as I started to focus a lot more on personal development, as I started listening to a lot of podcasts. Shout out to Andy Frisella and the MF CEO, because that podcast on itself really taught me that I was being a little bitch, and that I had to get out of my bitchiness and start to actually just work, just earn it, you know? So I started studying, I started researching, I started doing different certifications. I picked up a ton of certifications at that point of time. I picked up like my TRX, my pre and postnatal. I picked up another national cert. I started my precision nutrition. And that's actually when I stumbled upon First Form. For a lot of you guys who know me, you know that, I'm part of First Form. And I found First Form at a very crucial time in my life. This was when, I'm kind of breaking down the timeline a little bit, I was about a year and a half into my career at Crunch. I was becoming a really great trainer. I was promoted to head trainer at that point. So I was really doing well, and I was helping people get results. Like my client, Catherine, and shout out to Catherine, she's a fucking great person, and I'm working with her still. We disconnected for a little bit, but we found each other again, and we're working together. She ended up winning the Get Fit Challenge that we had, and she won, I think it was like $5,000. She won a lot of money. I won a pair of customized Nike shoes, but more than anything, I won the satisfaction of being able to help somebody fucking change their life. And that in itself gave me the confidence, because I was like, wow, I can get these people results. I can help people. But I was so sick. Man. That's when I really got sick with my eating disorder, because I started doing bodybuilding competitions just to kind of hide that eating disorder, because I thought, I'm dieting for a bodybuilding show, so it's socially acceptable that I'm starving myself. Yep, that was my mindset. I didn't want to get on the stage for bodybuilding because I loved bodybuilding. I did. I liked bodybuilding, but I didn't want to get on stage because of that. I wanted to get on stage because I just wanted to be shredded like that, And every time I stepped on stage, I stepped on stage twice. They told me, you are way too skinny. You are way too small. You have to put on more muscle. Story of my life, my friends. But we're working on that now. That's all that matters. So I found First Form at that point in my life when I was doing a bikini prep, and I was really just sick with my eating disorder, and I really didn't have a lot of people in my life. I was working constantly. I was in school still, or I was just finishing up school. And man, I was just in a really negative place because I was overtraining. I was under eating. I was just not focused on anything else. I basically had blinders on to the world around me and could only see just work and training and all these negative thoughts about, I'm afraid to eat more because I'm afraid to gain weight. If I don't do this much cardio, I'm going to gain weight. So I found First Form on social media because one of my bodybuilding coach at the time, one of his clients, Lauren Novotny, was talking about how she was drinking her Opti Greens and how it helped her gut health and how it helped her with her bloating and her gas and all that stuff. And I was like, hey, I have terrible gut issues. I have an autoimmune disease, for you guys who don't know, which directly affects my gut health. So I was like, I've tried everything in the world. God damn it, I better try these, and these better work. So I got the Opti Greens, and, well, that was 4 years ago, and I haven't missed a day since. So they kind of changed my quality of life when it comes to my gut health, which, if you guys suffer from gut issues, then you know how unpleasant it is. But I found that, and then I started trying their protein, and I was like, wow, this shit is good. Because I've tried like every protein in the game at that point because, a bodybuilder, fitness is my life. I've tried everything at GNC, and I was like, wow, this protein powder doesn't hurt my stomach, which is rare. And then I started to follow First Form on social media and started to kind of dive into their culture and their core values. And I was like, wow, this company isn't just another supplement company. You know, like, they actually want to fucking help people. Like, yeah, First Form makes awesome supplements, like the highest quality you could probably find. But here's the thing. The reason why they make such high quality supplements is because they actually care about helping people change their lives. So they have this Legionnaire program, and I was like, you know what? I want to become a bigger part of this company because, God, they're doing this. They're doing this thing. They're helping people, and I want to help more people. That's like my mission in life. So I spoke to them. I ended up getting an interview. I ended up getting into the program, and I felt like I was a part of something. And for those of you who are a part of First Form, like, you know, it's not just a supplement company. You're part of a fucking family. And like I said, like, you know, my parents were separated. You know, my family was kind of resentful of me because of my eating disorder. You know, I felt so alone. And at this point in my life, like, I just had my mom, really, and First Form. And I ended up relapsing with my eating disorder really bad. You know, it was kind of coming. And that's when I decided to stop bodybuilding. You know, I did a show, and after the show, I realized that I didn't have anything anymore. You know, it was a really dark time in my life because I had everything going into the show. And then after the show, I was like, well, fuck. What do I do now? And 2 weeks after my show, I moved down to North Carolina with my boyfriend at the time, who was already down here. He was a firefighter, or he is a firefighter. I'm not with him anymore, but that's another story. Probably won't tell that story. But anyway, it was the best decision of my life to move out of New York because it was just very toxic for me to be there. I really don't like giant crowds like New York. And I kind of fell out of First Form a lot here. Like, I was still using the products, but I wasn't really a part of the company where I was helping people the way that I should have been because I was so focused on just getting myself healthy again. So I moved down to North Carolina, moved to Cary, North Carolina, which is where I am still residing. That was in 2017. So November 2017, I gave my notice at Crunch. I am so sorry to all of my clients that I left in a week's notice, but God, I still talk to most of them, to be honest with you, and I still help a couple of them out because they're amazing people. And I took an assistant fitness manager job at Fitness Connection down here. And this is where the career growth begins because this was a full-on sales role, and I hated sales. Guys, I was that personal trainer who would try not to sell you, or I was just so bad at sales. I just hated sales. I always felt salesy because I wasn't focusing on helping people. I was actually just focusing on, oh my God, well, I don't have this money, so they can't have this money. You know, probably the worst thing a salesperson could do is think with their own wallet. But I really wanted to be good at this job. Like, I wanted to be, this is what I wanted to excel in because I didn't have anything else at that time. Like, I was still bodybuilding. I was still really into working out and tracking my macros and being healthier. But I was focused on just being healthier and finding a balanced lifestyle. So I didn't have like a competition that I was going for. So I was all in on career growth at this point. I was like, you know what? I'm going to finally be successful because at that point I was listening to like Andy Frisella and I was like just eating up all this personal development stuff. I read every sales book I could find and I ended up becoming really fucking good. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I don't get cocky very often, but I'm very confident in my abilities. But looking back, I know that I could have done better. Because looking back, I know that I still got in my head a little bit when it comes to the confidence. And it took me a long time to finally develop that confidence that I have today. And, you know, not every day today is easy. I still have days where I literally can't even look at myself in the mirror. But I think that's a human thing at this point. But there's a difference now. When I have bad days now, I'm able to snap myself out of it and keep showing up and keep moving forward. Whereas when I started at Fitness Connection, I started focusing on personal development. I got better at sales. I started selling PT to everyone. And I ended up on Easter Sunday of that year, or 2018, I guess, I sold $10,000 in personal training on the first of the month. And the next day, my district manager came in and said, hey, I'm going to make you a sales manager because one day I want you to be a general manager. And that's when the obsession began. Because at that point, I was like obsessed with becoming a general manager. I was like, I want to be a GM. It's all that I want. Like, I would visualize this shit to the point of tears. I would have like music that I would play on the way to work that would get me crying and so freaking hype to go in and make as many sales as possible, sell as many memberships as possible, so that way I can become a general manager. So I was a sales manager for about 6 months at the Cary location of Fitness Connection, and then I was the top in the country. I got moved to the biggest location in Raleigh out in North Hills, and I was a machine. But the thing is, guys, I was a machine and I was a terrible manager. Terrible manager. It was like all about my sales. I had a sales team, but I was a terrible leader. And I recognized that because that's the reason why I kept getting passed upon when I was trying to become a general manager. They were like, well, you're great at sales. Like, you're the number one in the company. We get that, but we need you to be able to create other yous. And I was like, crap, I'm not good at this leadership thing. So you know what I did? I read every leadership book that I could and I got better. When you're not good at something, attack your weaknesses. Go all in on your weaknesses because you can achieve so much more than you think when you attack your weaknesses and you learn all the shit that you don't know. I became a great leader and I got the promotion. I became a general manager, and then 4 months later, welcome to COVID shutdown, my friends, and all the gyms were closed for 2 weeks. But not really, because they were closed for about 6 months. And they didn't bring me back on as a general manager. But that's fine, because during COVID, I got my shit together. I was extremely depressed heading into COVID because when I got that general manager's position, it was literally 16-hour days. I barely spoke to my family. I barely had relationships with anyone because I was all in on working. And I was so hard on myself that when I wasn't doing good enough, I would think like I'm going to get fired. I was constantly scared. I was so depressed. I was suicidal. And man, I was miserable. And to be honest with you guys, the company wasn't a great company to work for. And I didn't want to say it, but it's not. Or it wasn't at the time. I can't say what it is now. I was suicidal. I wanted to die. I'm not going to sugarcoat shit. People experience this in life. And the COVID shutdown was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because at the beginning of the COVID shutdown, I gave myself 6 months. And I said, you know what? You're going to start this thing called 75 Hard. And if this doesn't work, well then I give up. 75 Hard didn't just change my life. It saved my life. And it's over a year since that happened. I've completed the entire Live Hard program, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. I'm on my second round of 75 Hard, and I found my purpose. I found my purpose in life because I got an email from First Form right at the beginning of the COVID shutdown. We were like, hey, there's this 8-week challenge. You can be an advisor in it because you're part of the Legionnaire program. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll do this thing again. Maybe I'll do this for real this time. And guys, that's my purpose. Because these 8-week challenges aren't about, just getting people super fast results and then they're going to go and, fuck it all up. It's about actually helping people change the habits and develop the habits that are going to change their lives. And I've changed and touched so many lives in the last year. And man, you have no idea how grateful I am for the opportunities that I have to be able to be a part of these people's journeys. And that's the thing that changed my entire life, was 75 Hard and finding my purpose. My purpose and my mission in life is to help people realize that they are limitless. Because I used to think that I had a limit. I used to think that the ceiling to success was right there and that there was no going over it and that I couldn't do this and that I couldn't do that because I wasn't good enough. I know what it feels like to look at yourself in the mirror and hate the person staring back at you. I know what it feels like to wake up in the morning and not want to get out of bed because of how much pain you are in mentally. I know what it feels like to be so exhausted from life that you just want to die. And I was hopeless. But you know what I learned through 75 Hard? Is that little voice in your head that's telling you that you can't? That's a liar. That's your bitch voice. That's your bitch voice telling you that, oh, I'm too tired. Oh, I'm too depressed. Oh, I can't do this. No, motherfucker, you can't do it yet. But you have to get up and you have to take action. Because in the past, when I was having a bad day, I wouldn't get anything done and I would just go backwards. Now, every day, it doesn't matter how I feel, I show up. I show up every day. I show up, I set intention every single day, and I ask myself every morning when I wake up, how can I provide more value to my people today? How can I help one person today? How can I change one life today? Because I have that purpose, and I advise you to set intention every single day so that you don't go backwards, because some days it's going to feel impossible to even get up. But those are the days where it matters most that you show up and that you get up. I promise you, if you're not moving, you're going backwards. I don't care how you move forward. Every day, take one step to get a little bit better. One day at a time, one task at a time, one moment at a time. You got to get out of your own head, because once you can overcome yourself and your own mind, you can do anything. And the one thing that I want to tell you guys before I get off here, because it's gone a little longer than I wanted it to, but that's completely fine because I think it's a lot of valuable information and really covered the gist of my story. The biggest thing that I want to tell you guys is, if you are not where you are in life, and I said this earlier in the podcast, but I need to say it again, stop blaming the government, the circumstances that are going on in the world, the people around you, my boss, my wife, my cousins, my brother, my father. Stop blaming your shitty childhood or the struggles that you've been through for where you are in life. You are where you are in life because of you. You are 100% responsible for everything that happens in your life because you control how you react to situations. There's a difference, right? There's a difference. Today, when I went into the gym or into my garage gym to work out, I had a splitting headache, and there was nothing that I wanted to do rather than be in bed. There are some days where you get up and you work out and you feel like you're on top of the world and can dominate and lift anything. And then there are other days where you want to be anywhere else. But the difference is that both days you show up and you do the work. The difference between you and the person that you want to be is that you don't show up and do the work when you don't want to do it. Even on the days where I don't want to, I do the work because I know that it's taking me one step closer to achieving my mission. Helping one person change their life and creating that ripple effect to change the world. So guys, earn the confidence, do the work, believe in yourself, and do one thing today that's going to take you one step closer to where you want to be in life. Now go out, make it a great day, and thank you guys so much for listening. If you found value of any sort, please, like I said, it's all unedited. There's no ads. All that I ask is that you bring one friend. Share this podcast with one friend. Share my social media with one person. Let's spread the movement and let's change the world. One person at a time.